Hey, Bill here with 30-Minute Woodshop. Thanks for joining. Today, I want to show you how to make a pair of personal charcuterie boards. You know, we all have these big monsters. I've seen them as, 4 feet long, 2 feet wide, blah, blah, blah. They're big and they're heavy, made for serving a lot of people. But, a lot of times you just want to hang out with your significant other, your husband, wife, whatever, even the kids. You want to have something small. You can sit, watch TV, and have a little intimate moment. Small personal charcuterie boards are the way to go. By the way, these also make great gifts for weddings, or if you're doing something for the wedding party, woodworkers, make a couple of these and have them engraved, use a laser engraver. So all we're going to do here basically is take this 20-inch piece of wood. I'm going to cut it in half, so we'll have two 10-inch pieces. All right, fairly small, enough to throw some cheese, some crackers on, a little bit of some dried meats, those kinds of things. Just enough so you can have a little fun. We'll also put in a little depression over here for your wine glass, or guys, in your case, maybe a beer. So that's really what this is going to be. Pretty straightforward. Cut it in half, finish it up. Now this has a few things going on here. It's a little on the warp side, so when I cut this off, I have to make sure that when I get done, I'm going to have to make sure that it's flat, so it sits square and flat. It'll be a nice little thing. And of course, do some edge treatment here just to round off the edges or do something different. And then, of course, sand it out. There's a lot of checking in this board, because this is a very wonky grained, soft maple. Matter of fact, it's quilted maple, which is why you get all this checking whenever you run it through a power planer. So I got a lot of sanding to do to get a lot of this stuff out. You won't have to watch that. I'll take care of that myself. But hey, keep watching and let's make a cut. Okay, if you watch my other videos, a kind of familiar sight here at the radial arm saw, make sure, guys, before you fire up your power equipment, you wear safety gear, safety glasses, and earmuffs. Very important. Doesn't seem like it at the time, but years from now you'll be thanking me for it. So, safety gear on. I've marked this right at 10 inches. So I'm just going to cut it in half. Okay, quick cross cut. Little sketchy because this is wood's so wonky. Not only has it got a little bit of a warp to it, it's also not exactly parallel. So we'll still work with it because it's a charcuterie board. We kind of want that. I have some more pieces that have more of a live edge to them. We'll use later. But anyway, so got these cut, no problems. Now what I want to do is I kind of want to mark out a wine glass location for here. And wine glasses are generally about 80 millimeters across. Let me do it real quick. Yeah, it's like 2 7/8. Yeah, 2 3/4, 2 7/8. Yeah, 2 7/8. So about 2 7/8. So what we'll do is we'll put about a 3-inch depression here, someplace right about there. So you can kind of get a feel for how that's going to look. Basically, you'll have your glass of wine, some crackers and cheese sitting next to you, and your favorite girl or guy or whatever, and have a little intimate moment. Anyway, so let me mark this out. What I know about it, all right, I'm going to use a 3-inch hole, and I want about a 1/2 inch of clearance, so I want about 4 by 4. So roughly 4 inches by 4 inches. Because I'm going to end up with a 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch. And an 1.5 inches. All I'm doing here is just giving myself a reference spot so I know where basically the glass is going to go. So that's where my glass is going to end up, which is pretty good. So I'll drop a 3-inch hole here, sand this out. Right now, it's nice and solid. Off to decide which side I want to use. Actually, I'll use this side. Yeah, this side is. Yeah, this side has a little bit better grain to it. Not that it really matters, because you could use both sides. One side with a depression for the glass. The other side, quite frankly, you can use these as mini cutting boards or mini serving boards too. So you'll be able to use both sides of them. Right now, though, what I want to do is I'm trying to figure out what my best side is for grain. Which I think this side and this side. Because this has some really nice quilting on it on this side. It's quilted here, but it's harder to see. Same with this one. Anyway, so we'll do some sanding here, and then I'm going to take it down to my basement where my drill press is, and I'm going to drop two 3-inch, approximately 3-inch holes, and they're going to be about 1/16 of an inch deep. Just enough so I can put the glass on it, and it'll self-center itself, so it won't get lost on the board. And the other reason for doing this is whenever you make the board, you have a specific area for the glass, so you don't intrude into that. And it keeps the glass from sliding off. Because once you get these things oiled and waxed, they get pretty slippery. So, on to some sanding. Well, to your health. So, if you've joined me before, you know generally I'm a 100 or 220 grit sanding guy. Mostly because the wood I use is already faced. So it's usually faced on 4 sides, at least 2 sides. This is actually faced on 2 sides, but it's so rough that I'm going to start with 60 grit, then go to 80 and 100. Then I'm jumping to 220, and I'm going to finish off with 320 on this stuff. One side isn't bad, the other side is pretty checked. So I've got a lot of work to do. So keep watching, we'll do some sanding. I won't make you watch the whole thing though. Okay, here's a sanding tip. First, make sure when you sand, wear hearing protection, guys. Same with eye protection. A lot of stuff in the air, you don't know what's happening. You want to keep stuff out of your eyes, and you want to keep the noise, from damaging your ears long term. Second thing is, make sure you have dust collection of some kind. If you're going to do this just in an open environment, then make sure you have the doors and windows open and the fan going to kind of get rid of the dust particulate, because these things make a ton of dust. That's the advantage actually of using the old style tools, hand tools, because they don't make so much dust. Anyway, let's get back to sanding. Boy, let me tell you, that's a load of grinding even with 60 grit. I see now why guys have those 1632 drum sanders. If I had more than a couple of these to do, woohoo, man, might be worth the investment. Anyway, I did get them down. I got all the checks out of them. I have checked them, checked the corners to make sure they're not rocking, so it's looking pretty good. Now, these still feel, of course, really furry from the 60 grit. So now I'm going to start working through the grits, 80, 100, 220, all the way down to 320. So, let me get those wrapped up, and I'll be back. Okay, I've run through the grits up to 320. Now I need to do one more thing. We want to do a quick raising of the grain. I don't normally do this on all the projects I do, primarily because it's not needed. On this one, because there's going to be a lot of touching on this project, a lot of fingering on this surface, I want to make sure that if there's any grain, it pops up. So, easy way to do that, put some water on a paper towel, or you could actually spray it. A lot of guys do that. Just give it a quick wipe. Doesn't take a whole heck of a lot of water. Matter of fact, you don't want a lot of water. You just want to moisten the surface. Get it a little damp. Because you want it to be able to dry out a little bit before you actually hit it with the sandpaper. Or at least I do. there's any little fibers, grain fibers, this will actually cause them to stand up on end. And that way when you go ahead and sand it, all those little green little fibers will get knocked off by the, and see, so you don't, it's not very bad with maple because it's a hardwood, very, very dense. But what happens is if you do this to pine, it'd be all over the place. Now I will say that you can feel it just from that little bit of water I put on it, and we're pretty well dry. So what I'm going to do now is hit this again with 320. Okay, after that final sand, boy, I tell you what, these things are just slick. They feel wonderful. So next step here, we've got a couple more steps we want to do to these. I got to do some edge treatment here. I want to do a round over on at least 3 of these edges, maybe even 4. What else do I want to do here? I may want to do some little curve in here too, just to give it a little bit of, do a little curve in here with it before the glass, just to give it a little bit of character. I need to go lay that out to figure out that's what I want to do. So by the way, when I get done with this, there'll be a sketch on my blog, 30minutewoodshop.com. You can pick that up if you're interested. So let me get to doing a little more layout here, and I'll show you when I get done. Okay, all I'll do now is striking a 3-inch circle. So that's where the depression for the wine is going to go. We'll mark this out. I'm probably going to leave that corner, radius it off. I'll put a little round in here. And there we go. So if you can see that, I get the circle, I got this radius and this radius. I'm going to tension to cut this out, and that way when you hold this, if you have to hold it, okay, your hand will fit right in here. It'll be easy to put your thumb on the base of the wine glass, fully support the board if you have whatever on it, and then you can move your thumb, pull the wine off, put your thumb, and have it secured at all times, rather than have a sharp edge here. So it'll be nice and curved, easy to get your hand into. You can hold it if you have to. If not, it's a little bit of a design feature. I got to come back and round these corners though, because I don't like sharp corners on this particular board. So I'm going to lay this other one out, then I'll do some cutting and drilling. Okay, bandsaw set up with a 1/4 inch blade, all tuned up, should cut really nicely. Could have went with a bigger blade, but closest one to hand. So I'm going to cut this curve out here on both of these just to give me a thumb hole. Let's make some noise. And there we go. So you can kind of see how that would work. Thumb right there, fits in your hand really nicely. Let's go do some sanding. I know, more sanding, but I do want to refine this edge, get rid of the saw marks and those kind of things. So let's make some noise. And there we have it. This machine makes really short work of these kinds of curves. Everything's gone. I do want to hit them again with some finer sandpaper, so I'll probably run it with a 220 and also with some 300 or 320. But man, that's really good. And again, you can see how easy that is to hold. Put your hand right under it, all the weight, thumb on the edge of your wine glass, so it doesn't fall off, and you can walk around all night with this. Let's move on and cut some holes. We're here at the drill press. I've chucked up an 85mm Forstner bit, and we're ready to put in a 1/16 of an inch depression in here, just enough to hold a wine glass stemware. So let's make some noise. And there we go. 1/16 of an inch deep, perfect depth to hold somewhere. So you put your thumb on that thing. Food out here, great way to walk around, not spilling your drinks and whatnot. So this will also hold most any highball glass too. Well, we're closing on the end of this project. All I need to do now is get rid of these really sharp corners. I'm going to throw on a radius. I'm thinking about a 1/4 inch radius around all of these just to get rid of that sharpness, and then I'll come back, do a little hand sanding, and then, quite frankly, put the finish on and we're done. So let's head over to the router table. My bit's in. Right now it's a little subsurface. I'm going to make a couple passes just to bring it up because this is sugar maple. All right, and the problem is it's got a high sugar content. Burns real easy, so I'm going to try and make it so I have my last pass. It's going to be just a skim pass, so I don't get a lot of burning. All right, let's make some noise. Okay, got all the straight edges routed against the fence. Now I'm going to have to do some freehand routing around this edge. So, got to reset this up. All right, the fence is off. This is kind of tricky. Wish me well. Okay, looks good. On to some sanding. All right, we have a little more hand sanding to do here. All I'm trying to do is take down the there's a line right here. You can kind of see it's a right where the rollover came. A little on the sharp side. I want to just make that a little less visible. I want to take away any burn marks if there happen to be any. The corners here are still pretty sharp, so I got to bring those down a little bit. In the end, I just want this to feel really nice when someone holds it in their hand and they have something here. All right, so especially in through here, I want to make sure that especially this end grain here is taken down and it's really nice and smooth. I did have a little blowout right here I got to try and get rid of. Should be pretty easy. But there's some hand sanding to do, and let me finish that up and I'll be back. Okay, light sanding is complete. Now what I'm doing is I'm throwing on a coat of wax. This is actually a wax that I make. It's made out of beeswax, mineral oil, and a little bit of coconut oil, or coconut butter. But there you go. That's it. All I'm going to do now is a quick wipe, and we can call these good. Why don't we give it a shot and see what it looks like when we use them. Well, I had a great time doing this little project. Very quick, very easy to do. It doesn't take a lot of tools. As a matter of fact, if you go to the bottom, you'll find links to some of the tools I used, those kinds of things. There's also a link to my blog, which has a dimension sketch for this that you can use to make one. Now, as you can see, they turned out really, really good. Matter of fact, I expect to be doing this almost exact same thing with my wife at our private New Year's Eve party coming up here soon. And hey, if you got something out of this, folks, do me a favor, hit like and subscribe. It would help me out a lot. And until next time, folks, good making.